Phoenix. Jets acting owner Christoper Johnson spoke with reporters Sunday night for the first time since new head coach Adam Gase was introduced back in January. Obviously, plenty has happened with the Jets, and around the NFL, over the past 2 months. So what has Johnson made of his team's free agent acquisitions, Gase's transition and other happenings? Here's a look at the major news and notes to emerge from Johnson's most recent public comments, which came ahead of the league's annual owners meeting. Point 1. Johnson will miss Patriots Rob Gronkowski. Kind of Gronkowski captured the attention of the football world Sunday by announcing his retirement. Obviously, that leaves the Jets' biggest rival with a massive hole on the offense. To that end, Johnson wasn't sorry to see him go. But from a more level-headed, unbiased perspective, Johnson also knows exactly what the NFL is losing with Gronk gone. To take a step back, I'm going to miss him as a player because he's absolutely magnificent, Johnson said. If you ever play the game like I do, if I could steal that player off that team, he's one of the top players I've always wished was a Jet. Just an extraordinary man and extraordinary player, too. Jets got their wish list. In free agency, Le'Veon Bell and C.J. Mosley are now Jets. So is Jamison Crowder. Kelechi Osemele, too. Plus a bunch of new lower-level free agents and resigned players. To put it mildly, Johnson was thrilled with the Jets' haul over the past few weeks. These are kind of like a wish list, Johnson said. As a matter of fact, it is a wish list because we put together the list prior to free agency and we got a number of the people we were hoping for. I think this team is better right now than it was a month ago. Better was a word that kept popping up throughout Johnson's remarks. He once again resisted a playoff mandate, but insisted that the Jets be better in 2019 than they were in 2018. That's his new measure, following up on last year's desire for progress. Still no playoff mandate, but Jets' Christoper Johnson promises to wear Lombardi Trophy like a crown if and when big money free agents pan out. New York Jets owner Christoper Johnson spoke with reporters on Sunday night ahead of the NFL annual meeting. 3. Keeping the faith in Mike Maccagnan. While Johnson decided to fire head coach Todd Bowles after 2018, general manager Mike Maccagnan was spared the same fate. Johnson said at the time that he believed in Maccagnan's plan and vision for the future. So after now that Phase 1, free agency, has been enacted, has Johnson's belief in Maccagnan remained the same? We have a plan and I'm really happy with how we're executing it in this off-season to date, Johnson said. And we'll see how things go in the draft. Johnson praised Maccagnan, saying he's terrific at his job, and indicating that he and Gase have formed a tight bond and have been working well together through their first 2 months as colleagues. Point 4. Adam Gase is building a productive culture. Speaking of Gase, Johnson has been impressed by what he's seen so far. Obviously, there haven't been any practices or games since the new head coach was hired. But in all the behind-the-scenes work so far, Gase has been amazing, so far, to Johnson's eye. He's a grinder, Johnson said. He takes this very seriously, but he's working really well with Mike. They talk all the time. He talks with me. He talks with coaches. He's over in the business side. Coaches never go over to the business side. He's really integrated himself into our organization in a way that's just super positive. I think if you go around our building in Florham Park, you'll see that people have been really impressed with Adam. 5. No hard feelings toward Anthony Barr. Remember all those high-profile players the Jets landed that we mentioned a minute ago? Well, they also had one high-profile snub, too, when outside linebacker Anthony Barr reneged on his verbal agreement with the Jets to stay with the Vikings instead. Johnson wasn't exactly willing to let Barr all the way off the hook, but he didn't take him to task for leaving the Jets out to try in the OLB market, either. We want people on our team who want to be New York Jets, Johnson said. Not everybody wants to be in New York. If you didn't want to be here, that's fine. It's disappointing when someone backs out on an agreement, but we want people who are all in. 6. Open mind on expanded instant replay. One of the major topics up for discussion during this week's meetings is instant replay and whether or not, and how to, expand it. The possibility of reviewing pass interference calls is on the table, but Johnson is trying to keep an open mind. He admitted he'd like to be able to review more calls and fix obvious errors, but has to be sure it can be rectified without messing up the game. All of these rules can have unforeseen consequences, and I know that Adam and Mark and I want to see the give and take, the pros and cons of every one of these rules before we decide on whether we're going to vote for them or not, Johnson said. Point 7. Selling the fans on new-look Jets. Speaking about the Jets' refreshed on-field product, Johnson said he thinks the fans are going to love this new and, hopefully, improved version of the team. Same goes for the new uniforms, which are set to be released April 4th. I think it's about time for us to have a new look, Johnson said. I think this is going to be well received. These things are pretty badass, I think. Matt Stipulkowski may be reached at mstipulkowski@newadvancemedia.com. Follow him on Twitter at m_Stipulkowski. Find NJ.com Jets on Facebook.